Welcome back to our U.S. Senate debate. Of question from Rick McConville in West Des Moines, talking about the middle class. Can you define the income range you believe are persons in the middle class? We bring back Theresa Greenfield and Joni Ernst. Ms. Greenfield, you can start this one off. What's your middle class range? What do you need to make in Iowa to be middle class?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I tell you what, it's not $7.25 an hour. We've got to raise the minimum wage, and people need to be able to earn living wages, the kind of wages where you can save for a dignified retirement and buy a home and have a real shot at your American dream. And I'll tell you, my focus is going to make sure people can do that. My focus is going to be on making sure that we have trade schools and technical colleges and community colleges that are debt-free, giving everybody a great shot at gaining those skills, learning a trade, and going out and earning living wages or starting their own small businesses.
Okay, what's your range here? Sorry, I got to push this a little here.
It's where you can provide for your family.
So do you have a dollar figure or just
It's not $7.25 an hour, I can tell you that.
Okay, Ms. Ernst, what do you have for what do you need middle class?
Well, I would say that it's the folks that live in my neighborhood in Red Oak, of course. Now, I know that Miss Greenfield lives in one of the wealthiest zip codes in the state of Iowa, but my neighbors in Red Oak, I've got a seed corn dealer that lives next to me. I've got a gentleman that works at the local co-op behind me. I've got a nurse. I've got a greenskeeper for the golf club, all of those folks. But in Montgomery County, the medium wage range, medium income for a family of four is probably right around $45,000 a year.
Okay.
You know, this is the community that I grew up in. These are the folks that I know and appreciate in rural Iowa, and I'm always out in Washington, D.C. fighting for their Iowa values. I know how hard they work, and I think it's really important that we do continue with trades, that we do
Dave,
continue with apprenticeships. And I do agree with Ms. Greenfield.
And I'll tell you what, if she knows how hard people work, then she would know that I've worked my fingers to the bone to build a career, to be able to afford a home. And I am committed to putting Iowans first and in investing in education and opportunities like I receive from progressive leaders like Governor Bob Ray, for example, that put 75% of the cost of college into it. So I was able to go to community college and come out of that debt-free. I worked at a Pizza Hut. Made just a few bucks, but I was able to pay for my tuition, my room and board, my books, and get a beer on Friday night. I want to do that again for all Iowans.
Okay, let's
May I respond,
please,
Dave, since
please
that
fast.
was my answer,
please
my
fast.
time? Thank you. So one thing that Ms. Greenfield and I do agree on, and one thing that I've actually worked in, is working for a technical college. And I did work as a young woman, as a career counselor, putting those that were long-term unemployed, those that were non-traditional students, those that had difficulties in their lives, whether they had been incarcerated, maybe didn't have the same skill set as others, allowing them to go to school through the Job Training Partnership Act, which provided them the necessary skills to rejoin the workforce. And that's really important to me. Those are folks that live in my community. Those are the folks I care about. And those are the folks that I'm fighting for.
Okay, thank you. All right, Jim has a question about taxes.
Yeah, we're going to build on this column. Talk of middle class, because the New York Times stands by its reporting that the president paid $750 in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017. You know, an American in the middle class or earning as low as $20,000 a year pays more than that in federal income taxes. So, and the president refutes that, but he won't supply his federal income tax returns to prove his claim. So what specific changes would you make to the current income tax system to address that kind of disparity? Ms. Ernst, you first.
Certainly, we do need to make sure that everyone is paying their fair share of taxes. The way the tax code is written does need some modifications, but because we don't have those returns, we don't know what the specifics are. If he saw significant losses in his business, we don't know that. I have called for the president.
But you limit do you limit deductions for losses?
Well, yes, and those are all things that we need to discuss, but we don't know the details of those returns. And so I have called on the president to release his returns. I think it would be really important to see those. But I would say that with the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, we were able to provide tax relief for 1 million Iowans, and we allowed small businesses to expand employment opportunities within their businesses and then raise wages as well as provide additional benefits for their employees. Ms. Greenfield has stated that one of the first things she would do is to roll back the 2017 Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, raising taxes on 1 million Iowans.
Let's bring Ms. Greenfield in here. What specific changes would you make to address that disparity?
Absolutely. Thanks, Tim. Well, I think that when millionaires and billionaires are only paying $750 in taxes, clearly there's something wrong with the system. The first thing is I wouldn't have voted for a tax bill that increased our debt $2 trillion and gave the majority of those benefits to the largest corporations and to the wealthiest. So there are some things that I would do. One, I want to make sure that the wealthiest and the largest corporations are just paying their fair share, just their fair share. And then we need to do things like, one, require Medicare to negotiate for prescription drug costs, putting a few more bucks in our seniors' pockets and saving us $500 billion. We've got to end those corporate tax breaks that Senator Ernst protects that allows companies to ship their jobs overseas. We need those jobs here growing our economy, our economic base. And I'll tell you, here's another one. We got to stop handouts to big pharma, those tax credits that allows them to put ads on the TV. Bottom line, Senator Ernst, you sold out Iowans for your big corporate donors. She's taken over $200,000 from big pharma, unwilling to negotiate to bring down those costs.
Actually,
she's taken over $450,000 from big oil, and she put one of their guys to head the EPA, gutting our ethanol business. And she's taken over $2 million in corporate PAC donations, leaving Iowans behind. She sold out Iowans for her corporate donors. Enough is enough. I don't take one dime of corporate PAC donations. I got in this fight for hard-working Iowans and to put Iowans first.
It is really interesting. I'll respond since I was mentioned. She continues to spew all of these Democratic talking points, but unfortunately the policies that she is espousing and embracing, those of the far liberal left, are those policies. And I'll remind everyone, $100 million, nearly $100 million of outside money has come in to support Ms. Greenfield. All of that outside spending is coming from donors that support rollback of our Second Amendment, the plans that are extreme environmental plans which would punish Americans but let China off of the hook. She has stated there is not a single regulation that she would roll back that would help our businesses. The policy she is embracing, higher taxes, and more regulations, drives our American businesses into those foreign countries. What we did with the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was provide an avenue for those jobs to come back from places like China, allow them to rebuild here in the United States, and employ more Americans. That's what we want to see, is our economy booming, but her policies prohibit that.
Okay, as we're talking about money matters here, Tim with a question from a viewer on Social Security, how that would work.
Yeah, Jim, as Jim mentioned, we've heard from, or Dave, I should say, we've heard from several viewers. A question that we got from Kelly in Afton is, why don't we tax everyone's full income for Social Security? Of course, the current individual cap is $137,000. It's been since 1983 that there's been significant work done on Social Security. So would either of you support longevity indexing? And Ms. Greenfield, you can go first.
Well, absolutely, Jim. This is something that's incredibly personal to me. I was widowed at the age of 24, and when my husband died in a workplace accident, I became a single mom with a 13-month-old and another one on the way. And it was those hard-earned Social Security benefits and his union benefits that kept us out of poverty. And it's a big reason I got in this race, because Senator Joni Ernst, we've all heard the audio and seen the tape, she wants to privatize Social Security. She talks about going behind closed doors to gut it. She's even talking about defunding Social Security. I got in this race to sustain Social Security for generations to come, and I want grannies all over the state to know that I've got their backs.
if I can respond to that, Ms. Greenfield is making things up on the fly. So totally inappropriate and unprofessional. Certainly what I have said is that Republicans and Democrats need to come together and find a way to shore up Social Security. We need to look at all of the different options. We need to involve those experts and those actuaries to make sure that our children and grandchildren do have the opportunity for Social Security and Medicare. I have said that time and time again. I stand by that. I have never once voted to cut Social Security or Medicare. I will never do that for our seniors. But certainly, again, we have to come together, and that's what I have talked about in the past. But Ms. Greenfield, she loves to make things up. I know that the Democratic Party will continue promoting that, but there are a number of us that believe we need to sit down together at a table and work through this. Folks like my mom and my dad count on Social Security and Medicare every month. So it is something that we need to make sure we are taking care of for our children and grandchildren. I continue to do that by working in a bipartisan manner. Again, one of the most bipartisan senators of any state of either party, as ranked by Georgetown University, not the most conservative university out there, but certainly of the last 25 years. So I'm proud to wear that title. I am happy to work with Democrats.
I have to comment here because Social Security is personal to me, and you've let her talk way too long. I'll tell you what, it's clear. The audio's out there, the tape's out there. Senator Joni Ernst has talked about privatizing Social Security, and I won't stand for it. Absolutely
I've talked about
But what I will do
solutions.
is I will work with anyone to sustain Social Security for generations to come, because I don't care if you're a young widow, if you're disabled, or if you're someone that's relying on it for your dignified retirement. I want you to know that I'm going to roll up my sleeves and work with anyone to sustain Social Security.
You both have talked about bipartisanship. You've claimed to be independent voices. Ms. Ernst, let's start with you. What is one area where what you will push for will run counter to what Republican leadership supports?
Well, certainly I will go toe-to-toe with anyone on an issue that is important to Iowans.
Give us one specific one.
The RFS, Renewable Fuel Standard. And I have been endorsed by the Iowa Corn Growers Association and the Iowa Farm Bureau because they know, and they can tell you, folks, that I fight hard for our Iowa farmers day in and day out. I've not only done it in the United States Senate, going toe-to-toe, not only with Republicans and the administration, but certainly Democrats as well. But there are a number of Democrats that support the RFS, and we have worked together to make sure that we are able to provide E15 year-round, provide the infrastructure to provide those higher blends of ethanol at our fuel pumps, and of course making sure that we have the 15 billion gallons of ethanol as promised by the administration.
Okay, Ms. Greenfield.
I want to make sure to set the record straight here. Senator Joni Ernst, she sold out our farmers for her big oil donors. She voted for one of their guys to run the EPA, and they've issued 85 ethanol waivers that have devastated our ethanol market to the tune of about 4 billion gallons of demand. And right now, corn prices, heck, they're down around $3.30. That's going on of business prices. You asked about one issue that I would work on and go toe-to-toe with Democrats on. I got to tell you, I think Democrats just talk too much about four-year school. I love it, but I want to focus on making sure every student has a path to get started on following their American dreams, whatever those are. And so I'm going to be fighting against Democrats to make sure we're investing in trade schools, technical schools, apprenticeship programs where you can earn while you learn, like my first husband did, who was a journeyman electrician. And when we invest in our students and make sure they have those first 2 years under the belt, we're going to build a workforce, we're going to be able to grow our businesses, and we're going to get this economy back on its feet.
We had several questions from viewers that were talking about term limits. Always something comes up in an election. Tim has one of those.
Yeah, one of our viewers sent us this question. This is Tom from Sioux City. Let's hear what he has to say.
I have a question about term limits. There are many senators and representatives who have been in legislature far too long. Would you support an amendment to impose term limits?
And to be completely fair, the average U.S. Senator spends about 10 years in office after we looked around. But those with the most years are the senior members, and those tend to have the most leverage and the most power. So in that vein, is term limits something that both of you or either of you would consider? And Ms. Greenfield, you can go first.
You know, I don't think term limits are where I want to go first. I think voters need to go to the ballot box. They need to make their voices heard, and that's how we limit the term of our senators, our House of Representatives. Make your voice heard. It is the most important thing you can do, is to vote, and I hope everybody that's out there tonight has a plan to vote, because you can start early voting on October 5th.
Ms. Ernst?
Yes, thank you, Tim. And I have supported term limits, and I think that's important. However, if we are term limiting the folks that are elected by our population, what I also would like to see is some sort of limitation as to the number of years a bureaucrat can serve within the administration. All of those buildings in Washington, D.C., and the swamp is an apt description of those agencies. Those folks that are there, they are the ones that are constructing policy and regulation for all of the folks here in Iowa, and for them to allow to serve year in and year out, living in a cubicle in Washington, D.C., and making the decisions that affect you, your business, your farming practice, when most of them probably haven't been outside of that bubble for years and years, is wrong.
The question, though, was about lawmakers. So.
And I already answered that. I said yes, I would support
that. So we'll
that.
move on.
But I am describing as well that if we are term limiting people that are actually elected by a population, then we absolutely need to look at bureaucrats.
Let's talk about what we've seen both in our state and across the country, this unrest that we haven't seen collectively, so many large demonstrations like this in a long, long time. You have demands for justice, racial equality, police reform, among many other things. Jim Needleman picks up.
Seeing this become one of the most divisive issues in the country when you combine all of those things. One of our viewers, Diana M. Jones of West Des Moines, describes herself as a retired white privileged woman. So she asks, what will you tell your children and grandchildren you did to undo systemic racism and promote true equity for all? Ms. Ernst, you first.
Well, certainly there are so many things that we have been working on in the United States Senate, but I would say that what we see across the United States is very disturbing. While I do support those that are peaceful protesters and really giving voice to a movement, something that we need to pay attention to, what we can't allow are violent demonstrations, looting, injuring other people. I don't support that, and I don't think any American should support that. I have been part of efforts, of course, to have discussions in the African American community, and at the invitation of Akeo Abdul-Samad, sat down with leaders in the African American community right here in Des Moines. I think that what we have seen in the Iowa legislature has been phenomenal, and we can be very proud of the efforts they have had for justice reform, policing reform. I was part of a movement in the United States Senate with the Justice Act, but the act, which had 70% of what Democrats were asking for in it, was blocked on the floor by Senate Democrats. Rather than advancing a bill where we both worked on it together, they would rather ignore the issue.
Wasn't their main arguing point, though, the qualified immunity rule that
is part
protects
of it.
Policing?
That is part of it, but instead of taking that first step forward, they decided we'd rather have nothing, and that's very unfortunate. Now, my opponent has said that our police, they are racist. They are racist, and she doubled down in our last debate about calling them racist. And this is not right. We shouldn't be name-calling. We should be working on the reform efforts.
I'm sure Ms. Greenfield has a response to that.
Well, Senator Ernst is being dishonest and certainly misleading. I will tell you, black and brown Americans and Iowans have faced systemic racism for generations and discrimination, and it is time we take action. George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, they should be alive today, and their families absolutely should have justice. And how do we get justice? Well, we take action to address systemic racism. I'm really offended that you would suggest that I would call
said
any
it, Ms.
law enforcement officers
You said it,
racist.
Ms. Greenfield.
Because I come from a family of law enforcement officers, and my father-in-law always talked about his pride in serving and protecting and protecting and serving, and I heard more stories about him down at the Sandlot, meeting the kids, getting to know everyone in his neighborhood. We have to take action, whether it is in policing, whether it is in health care, whether it is in housing, or education. We have discrimination, and we need to take it. And taking action is not the same thing as calling a health care worker or a police officer or an educator racist. We need to address systemic racism.
One quick question, yes or no, from both of you. Do either of you support ending or modifying the qualified immunity rule? Ms. Ernst?
I do think that those that are absolutely stepping outside of the bounds do need to be held accountable, and that's where we have to come together.
So that's a yes.
But if we are simply doing away with any sort of level of immunity, you will not see folks engaging.
I said ending or modifying, and so you said you're okay with modifying. Yes or no to modifying or eliminating qualified immunity?
Yeah, absolutely. No one is above the law, that's for sure. And so I would look at reforms.
Dave.
All right, we only have several minutes left here, but Ms. Greenfield will give you a chance to ask your opponent a question.
Well, absolutely. You know, health care is on the ballot. It absolutely is on the ballot. And Senator Ernst has voted repeatedly to end the Affordable Care Act, gutting your protections, taking away, putting on caps on your insurance. And she's not suitable to represent us in the United States Senate when it comes to health care, because she pushes a conspiracy theory that suggests our doctors and our nurses are liars and cheats. And that is wrong, and it's inappropriate. And Senator Ernst, I want to ask, would you publicly apologize to our doctors and nurses tonight?
I have apologized to our healthcare workers, and I will apologize again tonight. I am so sorry that my words may have offended you. I know that you are tremendous workers. You are essential workers. You are providing care for our loved ones every single day, especially for folks like my sister and my brother that have pre-existing conditions. They are type 1 diabetics. I have a former soldier that was just recently taken off of a ventilator because of coronavirus. He and his lovely family live in Missouri, and I was receiving updates from another one of our former soldiers. And thank you to the wonderful people that took care of him in his time of need and reassured his family members. But I appreciate you so deeply. I truly do, and I appreciate your efforts, not just through COVID-19, but all of the other difficulties that you have faced since the Affordable Care Act went into place. We know it has jeopardized our rural healthcare systems. We see our OBGYNs leaving our rural healthcare systems and going to larger cities because of the restrictions within that Care Act. So I really appreciate what you do, and thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
We're almost out of time, but if you want to then ask her a question.
Absolutely. Ms. Greenfield, I talked to a gentleman named Mark the other day, and he was one of those people that were affected when you booted the mom and pop shops out of a development area to make way for a foreign corporation. You know, he lost his entire winter revenue because of your actions. Will you apologize to all of those small business owners for affecting their revenue, their income, affecting their family over a winter?
Well, Senator Ernst, you are misleading and wrong, because that's not what happened. And I'm quite proud of my record as a business leader.
I have seen the letters personally signed by her.
Would you like me to answer the question?
Yes, you've interrupted me plenty, Ms.
And you have
Greenfield.
interrupted me too. I'm quite proud of my business record. I really am. I have done and helped so many small businesses grow. I've helped so many of them move and expand, and I've certainly worked with them through good times and bad. And not all of them make it, but most of them do a great job providing for their families. And I'll tell you, if you're referring to the Apple Valley Development Project, it was an economic development project, and we gave every single tenant more notice than was required, and we helped many of them move on to a new location, some of them in the same properties that we owned. And I am proud of my service to small businesses, and I will take that with me to the United States Senate. And Senator Ernst, frankly, I'm surprised. You are one of the few Republicans I've ever met who hates economic development.
Oh, excuse me, and I will respond to that. So here is Miss Greenfield, who has been sued many times for shoddy workmanship, use of inferior materials in her businesses. She's been sued for breach of contract. She is the handpicked candidate from Nancy Pelosi 2 years ago when she couldn't make it on the ballot because of felony election fraud. She's someone who filed for bankruptcy, sticking it to Iowa businesses to the tune of $29 million.
Senator
I am
Joni
very
Ernst,
proud
you
to
are
support
so dishonest.
small business. You can go onto the internet.
Shocking.
You can see
Just
all of
shocking.
the documents. The documents are there, folks. Why on earth would we take someone that has this record of dishonesty and failed business leadership to the United States Senate?
We've kind of eaten up our time here for closing remarks, so how about sum it up, your most important quality that you will offer to voters here as we close. Ms. Greenfield, sorry.
All right. Well, thanks, Dave. I'll tell you what, it's an honor to run for the United States Senate, and it will be even more of an honor to serve. And I'll tell you what, I got in this race to put hardworking Iowans first, make sure that middle-class Iowans had a voice at the table. And I'll tell you what, as I've done over 250 events around this state, people want the divisiveness to end.
Okay,
they
thank
want
you.
that
Sorry, we're
kind
hitting
of bickering
break
to
here.
end. You let her talk.
Yeah,
They
but
want
this time
that
we
kind
run out of
bickering
time.
to
We can't
end.
do that. Sorry.
And
Ms.
so I
Ernst.
want to tell you,
Thank you,
my
Dave.
last story.
Sorry, we
I
don't
got
have a
in
full,
this
we
fight.
can't do a full story. I'm sorry. We really have to go super fast here.
I will make it very short. I am an Iowan through and through. I was raised to serve my public at the state and the local level, now my country. I've served my country in uniform. It was probably the greatest honor of my life. I am humbly asking to serve you in the United States Senate to continue being an advocate for farmers, for veterans, and for our working families.
Okay, sorry to be
God
rude and
bless you.
have to cut both of you off. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Ms. Ernst, Ms. Greenfield, we do appreciate your time. We should have done 2 hours. Tim and Jim, thank you both very much. Remember, early voting starts officially on Monday. Your 2 candidates here, your 2 major party candidates for U.S. Senate. Thanks for being with us.